What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 10-7 MMA Show, and it is Friday. Sorry we missed you on Monday. We both kind of had things come up, which was crazy. Oh, hold on, let me mute this. I got super sick Sunday night. Not that we need too many details on that, but basically I had to go to the hospital, go to the emergency room on Sunday, and Monday I was just totally out of commission. And even Justin had something as well that day, so neither of us could make it on. So just dealing with some things right out the gate in 2024. A lot of drama, a lot of sickness, a lot of all sorts of craziness that we don't need to go into all of it, but it's been a lot. So we're back today, and we're excited to be here, and we're excited for some of the new subscribers we've gotten, and hopefully new folks that are going to jump on and join in the conversation. There's a lot of things going on. And by the way, Justin, give us some updates, because you just told me some stuff right before we started that's pretty exciting. And I think it's kind of crazy what you were saying you were planning if you compare it to most UFC fighters in terms of how many times they fight per year or in a 3-month duration. But why don't you tell us like what's going on with your training and your fights coming up?
Yeah, man. February 10th against Carson Hardman, tough PFL vet. That's coming up February 10th in Salt Lake City. So any subscribers out in Utah, tune in, man. I'm gonna put my hands on this guy. I don't really care for him. I don't really care for his antics. Training's going great. Neck feels good. Just got a call from another promoter in Michigan, WXC, Mike Pendelli. He's writing up a contract right now to fight David Gardner. Hello, Japan. He's an old school pride Japan fighter. He's an American, but I guess he's really popular over in Japan. Hasn't fought in a couple years, and he thought it was a good matchup for me and him to scrap. So really excited. We got February 10th. We got March 15th in Southgate, Michigan. And right now I'm looking for an opponent for April 18th in Michigan. So hopefully go in there, clean Carson Hardman up, then go back to Michigan, my hometown, clean David Gardner up, and then get a third fight in a row. Knock out 3 fights in 3 months, baby, and let's just keep this ball rolling.
So let's talk about that, because 3 fights in 3 months, and you never hear a fighter doing that. So, what is that like mentally and physically for you?
That's exciting because I know how much of a challenge it is. I know what I'm going to have to do to endure to be in shape and stay healthy for these next 3 months. Because you're absolutely right, man. Fighting one after another, it's not only taxing physically, it's mentally, man. Because that means I have to make weight 3 times in 3 months, which to me is the hardest. Don't get it wrong. I fucking love training. I love going to the gym. I love testing my skills against the best in the world at the gym. But cutting weight fucking sucks, man. And until you experience it at a high level, you don't really understand how bad it is. So I'm not really looking forward to that. I have a dietitian on board. I have a athletic trainer on board that's helping me with my diet, with everything. So that all goes smooth. But honestly, man, I just see it as a great mountain to climb. I see it as a challenge. And there's one thing that I don't do. I don't shy away from challenges. And 3 fights against 3 tough guys in 3 months is going to be a great challenge. But I'm up for the task. And let's just get in there and see what this old man can do.
Amazing. All right, cool. Well, yeah, at some point I want to do a fake fight camp. I told you, right?
Yes.
For a month or two in the
Sure.
summertime, maybe. So maybe we can even do it this summer, because I don't want to
I'm
experience the
down.
weight cut, but I want to go through the entire process and see
Sure.
what it does to my Muay Thai skills, like as if we're doing a kickboxing match. So
Sure.
that'll be amazing. All right, let's get right in the mix. There's a lot to talk about. Oh, by the way, before we get into the main topics, the ones that we listed, there's some breaking news that I just got through ESPN on my ESPN app, and it's such a bummer. So I want to just talk about this. Western Mass Climber, what's up? The thing is, dude, Manel Cap was supposed to fight tomorrow, and that's my prediction, and not just mine, a few other people's, not a ton of people's, but a few other people's prediction for the flyweight champ by the end of 2024. And he missed weight by 3.5 pounds. He weighed in at 129.5, and he looked just dejected. I saw the weigh-in footage. He looked dejected, and he's 30. I don't know, 30 is usually right entering the prime of a fighter's life, or it varies, right? But it could be around that. What are your thoughts on that big of a weight miss right at the beginning of the year, setting up for like this is meant to be his big breakout year? What are your thoughts? What do you think that does to him?
Man, honestly, missing weight is I've missed weight a bunch of times, man, and because I'm telling you, dude, weight cut is the hardest part. Dieting is the hardest part because I'm sure he's at a point where he's 4 pounds over, and honestly, your body sometimes just stops sweating. When I had my Bellator debut, it was a 3 week notice fight against a really tough, durable wrestler, and they called me and they're like, hey, you want to do featherweight? I had never made featherweight before. I was like, all right, well, I got 3 weeks to try to do this, and I got under 150. But once I got to about 148, 149, I don't remember exactly, my body just turned off. And I was sitting in the sauna, and just dry as a bone, like no more sweat, no more anything. I got on the treadmill with a sauna suit with Abilene, which makes you sweat, and my skin was just as dry as could be. And at that point, unfortunately, your weight cut's just over, and it's not really how tough you are mentally. It's just you're done. And I'm sure, at the level he's at, that's probably what he ran into. And unfortunately, there's nothing you can do once you reach that point. Your body's that dehydrated, and that you're just done, man. And unfortunately it happens, and I'm sure next time he's now that's the thing I like about the UFC. They're going to give him a couple chances. He missed weight, and that fucking sucks, and it really sucks for his opponent because now the fight's off. But there's probably mistakes he made during his fight camp that he's going to realize, that our coach is going to have to see that he realized, so he can't miss it again. Because if he misses weight twice, he might not get a third time. He might not get a third chance to make that weight. And they might boost him up a weight class.
And it's a bummer too. Like, look, what are your thoughts on? Because I assume the fight is off because the opponent said I'm not agreeing to fight him and wants another fighter. I assume that's what happened. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, if you were in that position, your opponent missed by 3.5, would you take it or would you call it off?
I mean, it depends what's on the line here. Personally, I would take it just because, I'm a fighter and I want to fight, and I'm not fighting, for number one contendership. Now, you have to understand his opponent, on the other hand, they're fighting for contendership here. He can't give another opponent in the top 5, top 10 who may not been training for a fight, but all his fighters at that high level were all training consistently. So really, if he takes a short notice fight from another opponent, I mean, he's risking a lot here. And if he loses, on that to a short notice fighter, I mean, he's going to be dropped down. So I do agree with him. When you're in the top 5 and you want to hang in there, and you don't want to put your contendership at risk, I don't blame him for not taking the fight.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, I hope Manel Cap gets back again. He's my pick for flyweight. Super bummed, but let's get in the mix. We got 5 viewers on the stream. So excited, guys. Join in. If you have any discussion points, we're going to throw the comments up here. You are our little family here right now, and we're so excited to have you and so excited to build around and build up from this. So feel free to chime in. Anyways, all right. So let's first talk about UFC 300 updates because everything is going crazy. People are talking smack about the card, saying it's going to fall flat. Other people like Jesse on Fire, always, more on the positive side. He feels like, no, they're still going to pull a rabbit out their hat and it's going to be amazing. He said yesterday, now he's pretty sure that he doesn't think, I hope this is still wrong, by the way, but he doesn't think that the Conor McGregor fight isn't even going to make the 300 card. Now he's put that out of, he was still saying for a long time, I think it's going to happen. I think they just haven't announced it yet, blah, blah, blah. That's gone. I've heard some crazy theories. So let me throw some of these out here for you for a main event. Now, one thing that's being talked about, but I don't think this would make sense as a main event. I think this would be silly as a main event, but perhaps one of the co-mains or something lower down on the card. One thing that I've been hearing is that they might be trying to tee up a rematch between Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal. As Jorge Masvidal said, he's unretired, right? USADA's out of the mix now. What do you think about a fight like that? And would you be excited to see that rematch?
No, I mean, that's a fight night card for me. I mean, cool, Jorge Masvidal, he's an awesome fighter. He has a great fan base, but I mean, he fucked up Nate Diaz. He's too big, he's too powerful. The fight will go exactly the same way. Nate has scar tissue all over his face. Jorge Masvidal exposed that, got him all bloodied up in the first one, fucked him up. Hey, it wasn't even a competitive fight. I mean, what are they going to put that as the main event of UFC 300? No. I mean, that's an undercard fight at best. If it isn't on the 300 card, I'd want to see it like as a featured undercard, maybe an opening fight for the main card. But honestly, that's not even a fight that I would be like, oh fuck, I have to turn the stream on as soon as the fight starts. If I miss it, I don't really care. If I see it, cool. It's just not a fight that really excites me because it doesn't mean anything. Jorge Masvidal, I mean,
I totally agree.
He's not, I mean, he's been retired. Like, he hasn't really beat anybody that's any good as of late. Nate Diaz is all over the place, hasn't won any fights. I mean, these are popular guys. So yeah, I can see it as a featured main, but it's not one that I'm excited to tune in for.
I hate to say it, as much as I love all these fighters, it doesn't really excite me either. Now, however, a rematch of Jorge Masvidal versus Ben Askren, which we have talked about, that excites me 10 times more.
Me too. Me too. Absolutely.
And the smack talking would be hilarious. And it gives Ben Askren a chance to right that wrong. And it probably would go different. I mean, that is just so much more interesting to me. I don't know. I haven't heard any talks of it. Ben Askren, I don't think has been approached about it. He said he's not campaigning for it. So that would be so much cooler. But anyways, these are one of the things that people are talking about. Okay, here's another thing that has been thrown out there, which I think is completely ridiculous. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on it. Some people are throwing, I think it was Daniel Cormier, and then even Jesse on Fire talked about this as a potential headliner, saying that Brock Lesnar might return. And the reason being, now that USADA's gone, he can stay on the juice and he can come out and fight as is, or whatever. I mean, whatever it is. It's like, I can't even understand. Like this to me makes absolutely no sense. Why people are even, it has to be almost like a troll job, but they're talking about it seriously, like it could happen. I mean, I don't know. Would you even be excited to see Brock Lesnar come back?
I mean, who's he gonna fight?
You
You know
don't
what I
know.
mean? Like,
Tom Aspinall
exactly.
would smoke him. Tom Aspinall would annihilate him, I would
I mean,
imagine, right?
Brock Lesnar was an incredible collegiate wrestler, man.
Mhm.
He was an incredible national champion heavyweight. You know, he's an incredible athlete, obviously, even in his stint in the WWE, man. Like, I don't care if people say that's fake wrestling. I mean, those are serious athletes and they're huge human beings. With
Yeah.
that being said, Brock Lesnar has zero striking skill set. I mean, look what I mean. He every time he was put against a striker, I mean, yeah, he did have a win against he had a win against, I'm trying to think of his name. He wears the black cowboy hat. He punched him and he did a back roll. He landed that good right cross, and I can't remember who he was.
Here, I'm gonna look it
But
up right
dude,
now. Yeah.
like Brock Lesnar is, I mean, I don't give a fuck about Brock Lesnar. If he never fought again, I hope he doesn't fight again because I don't think he's a very good fighter. And from my understanding, I've never met the guy, but I heard he's a fucking asshole. So you know, when guys are assholes, well, I don't want them to collect that a big payday. Like I'd rather see somebody like Wonder Boy Thompson being a 300 card and be like, even though I'm not that excited to watch him fight, but he's a fucking good guy. He's a good fighter, and he deserves it. Guys like Brock Lesnar, next.
Yeah. I don't understand it. It can't, there's no way that can even be a real thought by anybody at the UFC brass. I think this was just thrown out as an interesting idea and maybe a potential conspiracy theory of sorts, but that doesn't make sense. All right. Now, another thing that's been talked about, which would involve the winner of what's happening next weekend with your boy Sean Strickland and this Dricus du Plessis fight, is maybe okay. And I think Izzy's injured. I think Izzy is not going to be able to come back to UFC 300. But again, who knows, man? The UFC might be trying to do some misdirection just to keep it all a surprise, right? What would you think about, let's say Strickland wins? I think both of us are rooting for and also predicting, you know, maybe find slight bias there because we're Sean Strickland fans and he's your boy. But I think we're both predicting Sean Strickland to win next week. And we'll talk about that next week as well. Sean Strickland comes out victorious against Dricus du Plessis, comes out without too many injuries, can jump back into a training camp. What about him versus Khamzat?
I like it. And that is intriguing to me. That is a good, tough fight of two guys that deserve to do this. And you know, Hamza, you know, I smash. Sean is just gonna run all over him with the trash talk. Like Hamza, I mean, he's very predictable in his track talk. You know, I mean, he does the same thing every time, but he has a skill set that can give Sean problems. You know, with his wrestling and how much pressure he has. I think that's a great fight. I mean, that'd be a fight that I'd be intrigued to see. You know, and I know you're a big Hamza fan.
Oh, you cut out for a second. Oh, I want to hear your thoughts. Okay, wait, Justin just got logged off. All right, so we're gonna wait for him to join. So what he was saying was he was just starting to say that I'm a big Khamzat fan, so he knows I'm excited about it. Look, I'll tell you this. Khamzat is my favorite fighter right now in the UFC. Hold on, Justin. I'm bringing you back in. All right, I was just saying.
Dude, that's so annoying. I don't get phone calls the whole fucking day, and as soon as we start the stream, I've had 2 phone calls in the last fucking 10 minutes.
It's all
Nobody's
good.
gonna call me for the rest of the day. But anyways,
Yeah, it's all good. Okay, so I was just saying, as you were mentioning, you were saying, "Hey, I'm a big Khamzat fan." I was just letting people know while you're off. Like, I'll have to put it out there. He's my favorite fighter in the UFC right now. If I have to think about like anybody fighting in any card in any UFC event, whether he's the main event or whatever opening of the main event, I will be the most excited to see Khamzat fight, bar none.
yeah,
So anyway,
and I
as
don't blame you.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I think he's an incredible fighter, and I like it. And I think that is a fight that could be up. But is Sean really going to want to take back-to-back fights like that? I mean, dude, the guy just beat, you know, arguably some people say that I don't think so, but some people say Adesanya is one of the greatest middleweights, you know, to
Yeah.
ever do it. I don't agree with that, but some people do, and that's okay. That doesn't mean I'm right and they're wrong, or
Yeah.
they're right and I'm wrong. It's just my opinion. He just beats him. He comes and beats the number one contender. Now he's going to face another top guy. Knowing Sean, yeah, he probably would. But if it was me, I'd take some time off and enjoy my reign as the champion. I mean, fucking take. I'm not asking him to take 6 months off or 8 months off, but take fucking 2 months off and enjoy it. And Sean is one of the leaders at our gym. It wouldn't be surprised if he'd be willing to jump in there and take it. Me and Sean are managed by the same guy, Lance, at Iridium right now. So Lance will probably try to steer him away from that for a while, just
Mhm.
depending. But if he comes out uninjured, fuck it, run it. I don't know. That is an exciting fight, though. It is an intriguing fight to me.
And just imagine headlining UFC 300. I can't imagine, and he's the champ. You get pay-per-view points. I can't even imagine. It'd be insane.
Yeah,
So I think
absolutely.
that's one possibility. All right, here's the sleeper. Are you ready? But this doesn't really make sense. Jesse on Fire was talking about it, and I'll tell you why I don't think it totally makes sense. Because let me look up the exact date again of UFC 300. I think it's April 13th. Is that right? UFC 300. Yeah, it's April 13th. Okay. So the other sleeper thing, we talked about this, I think last week or week before, we talked about these rumors that Khabib is coming back. So I want to give everybody an update. And by the way, Western Mass Climber, he does say, hey, he's love the show. He'll be listening while he drives home. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for the likes already. We appreciate it. So now we're going to talk about a little bit on the conspiracy side. Well, not conspiracy because it's being talked about, but this would be insane. So the one thing that we talked about was Islam Makhachev talking about Khabib training again. He's saying he's training, he's lifting weights, he's thinking about potentially coming back at a heavier weight class. I don't even think welterweight. I think that what was thrown out there, and I don't know if this is true or just rumor, but potentially coming back at middleweight. So what about this? The other option, Khabib, and this week, okay, because I listen to a lot of stuff, right? I heard an interview of Javier Mendez, Khabib's coach. This is what he said. He said, is Khabib coming back? I can't say. I don't know. I haven't been told anything. But he's always training. But the difference is when Khabib is ready to fight or thinking about a fight, he trains with me. Otherwise, he doesn't train with me. And he's like, and I'll tell you this, he's training with me. Again, I don't know anything. I don't know if he's playing something, but he's training with me. And he said something like, if he does do a return, he's going to take his time and be able to like choose carefully and do all this stuff. What do you think about Khabib returning for a fight at UFC 300? Have to be the main event. And I guess if it's middleweight, it will be potentially also against Sean. So it's either Sean going against Hamzat or maybe Sean going against Khabib for the main event. What do you think?
I love it, man. I mean, we're talking about, some people consider him the greatest of all time, man. And I don't, again, one of those things I don't agree with, but I know a lot of people do, and they think he's the greatest lightweight of all time, and he's 30-0 or 29-0. And I mean, that would be an incredible surprise to bring back. The only issue I have with it is, coming from, being who he is and his belief system and how family oriented he is, like he promised his mom or promised his dad something that he'd be done. And now that means he'd have to go back against that promise. That means his parents or his mom gave him the grace to do that. And I just don't know if that given everything, is he really going to risk his reputation at being an undefeated fighter to go up go up 2 weight classes to face someone like Sean Strickland? I mean, I think Sean's just too much man for him. Even if Khabib put on all that weight, you guys have to understand when you guys go up weight classes, your body is adjusting. Look at Conor McGregor at 170, man. He looked pathetic. When he fought Nate Diaz the first time, he gassed out so bad. Like, is Khabib going to be able to carry that extra 30, 40 pounds of muscle and still be able to keep the same pace that he has? I know he's had a hard time making lightweight, and there's been skepticism that he's missed and he's cheated to make weight before grabbing onto the towel, like Daniel Cormier and so on and so forth, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, can his lungs keep up with that extra weight? And I don't know if they'll be able to. I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, if it happens, we'll find out. But man, when I went up to 185, I fought at 185 before I fought at 170. Carrying around that extra weight fucking sucks, especially on your legs if you're not used to it, man. I would love to see the matchup. That'd be a fight I'd want to see tune in for sure. I think that's an incredible 300 card. But again, does Khabib really want to risk going against someone like Sean Strickland, who has a great takedown defense? His striking, he's going to be in his face the whole time. He's going to walk Khabib down. I mean, what do you think? Khabib's going to outstrike Sean Strickland after he just outstruck
No.
Adesanya? Is
Right.
Khabib going to be able to take Sean Strickland down? And is he going to be able to take him down, hold him down, and not gas out? There's 3 huge questions, and if any of those questions are no, he loses that fight. So does he really want to risk that?
Man, that might be the type of challenge, though, that gets him excited, because he did supposedly, again, this is allegedly that he said that there's nothing that brings those emotions like having a fight. And that's supposedly the impetus for him wanting to come back and wanting them to have another fight. So maybe nothing excites. I would imagine nothing excites him at lightweight. That seems totally clear to me. And obviously he's not going to fight Islam. What am I saying? And then I imagine he wouldn't want to come back to welterweight per se, because I think that's Islam's next ambition. So maybe it gets him excited. Well, okay, fine. I think it's going to be a tall task. Sean Strickland, they're around the same height, 6 foot, and Khabib is 5'10". I just checked out the stats. I think their reach advantage is roughly similar. So, I mean, I don't know, but as a headliner, I think that's a banger. I think that's crazy. I think that could push it to a 2 million pay-per-view buy potentially.
I agree. I think it's a great business plan, but I try to think from Habib's standpoint, is he going to really risk his whole legacy of being the undefeated UFC champion to go up 2 weight classes and test himself against somebody like Sean Strickland? I mean, hey man, if he does, hats off to him.
Insane.
And I'll tell you this, if he went in there and beat Sean Strickland, you know what? He's going to start swinging my gauge to one of the best of all time.
Yeah, like what would we say then? Like it would almost, I don't know, it'd be crazy. It might be just one win and it would push him to the top, because that'd be unprecedented.
But what happens if he loses? Where does he go? Are people still going to say, well, he's the greatest lightweight of all time?
Yeah, maybe they'll just say that. But yeah,
what about BJ Penn, man? BJ Penn, a prime BJ Penn versus, you know what I mean? Like I'm not talking about end of his career BJ Penn getting submitted by Ryan Hall in the first round. I'm talking about the licking the gloves BJ Penn, fucking man, going crazy. Like, man, I mean, I don't think he was the greatest of all time, but he'd be a great matchup for Habib because of his grappling and his wrestling, prime versus prime. So again, people are saying he's the greatest just because he's undefeated. Is he really going to risk that kind of blemish on his record? That's one thing I respected about Adesanya. He went up and he tried, and who did he fight?
yeah,
The Polish guy.
Jan Blachowicz.
Yeah, Blachowicz. Like, dude, he's a gangster, and he said, dude, I'm just trying to, I'm not worried about the wins and losses. I'm trying to prove to myself that I can be the greatest. And is Habib really going to risk his to fight someone like Sean Strickland? That's what it all comes down to.
Yeah, 100%. Well, anyways, I think that
Sean has a 6-inch reach on Habib as well. I mean, that's what Western Mass Climber's saying. So that's huge, man. How can you close that? 6 inches doesn't seem like a lot. Fuck, it's only this much. But from a wrestling to a jab standpoint, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot to overcome.
That is a lot, actually. Yeah. Well, anyways, that'd be interesting. I think that would be, but let's put it like this: regardless of Habib's shot, and I think that would be a tall task, and he might very well lose. But if they did that, man, I think that would be something that would excite the fans so much, where they'd be like, all right, they did it. Because everybody's saying right now, and I don't know if I agree with this, but everybody's like, oh, 299 is going to be better than 300. I just don't believe that the UFC would do that, though. I think they planned 299 with the intention of upping it at 300. They would have to. There's so much hype around 300. I think they're going to pull it off. I think it's going to be some rabbit out of the hat, something like this, or something like somehow get Conor on the card. I don't know, but we'll see what happens there. All right, we talked about UFC 300 enough. There's something really exciting around the corner tomorrow, and that's a UFC fight night in Vegas. I was actually thinking, like, how cool would it be to come down to go to this event, because it's in the Apex Center. I've been wanting to go to a fight night. Tickets are really expensive, but it's like a VIP experience. And anyways, Manel Cap's off the card, so I feel like it's not. That would have been really exciting to see Manel Cap and Johnny Walker. But let's talk about the main event: Johnny Walker versus Magomed Ankalaev. Now, these guys are coming in for the rematch after last time Johnny Walker took an illegal knee from Magomed. They eventually called off the fight. A lot of fans were very upset. It seemed like Johnny Walker was very upset and he wanted to fight. But he has since gone on interviews to say that he feels like the ref did the right thing. And here's what he said. And I bet you'll agree with this as a fighter. He said, as a fighter, no matter what, you're cut, you're bleeding, broken foot, broken leg, broken arm, whatever, you're going to want to keep fighting no matter what. And sometimes you don't know what's right. You don't know what's best for you. You have that mentality. That's what separates fighters from the rest of us normal people. And so he said, I think that he knew that the best thing for me was to call the fight, because some really bad damage could have happened eventually, because that knee, he said, also too, a week or so afterwards, his neck was completely tightened up, and his jaw was all messed up because he took the full force. And the reason why is because he didn't brace himself for the knee. He didn't do anything because he didn't think it was coming, because he knew it was illegal, right? Anyways, now we have the rematch. Johnny Walker is ready to go. What do you see happening? A lot of people are saying Magomed could be the next future champ. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I like Johnny Walker a lot. I like his I like he's kind of like a goofy dude, you know, on
Yeah.
camera. He's an incredible fighter. The problem I have with Johnny Walker is his chin, man. I just don't think he has a very good chin. He's been knocked unconscious. He's been knocked silly. Jamal Hill, you know, when he knocked him out, he had this weird knockout, hit him with a great punch, and Johnny like just stands there, and then he like falls backwards with his arms to the side.
I
You
remember
know,
that. I remember that.
yeah, and you know, again, I think he's a great fighter. I just don't think he has the chin to hang with somebody like Magomed. And you know, I just think this is going straight to the Russian. I think he's just going to take it to Johnny and probably finish him within 2 rounds.
All right, so I'm looking up Johnny Walker's fight record. I want to see when that fight was because I'm curious to know when he left to go start training with John Kavanagh. So he lost to Jamal Hill in 2022. All right, and then Johnny Walker, when did he start with Kavanagh? Maybe that was around that time. Okay, in 2020. So he was working with Kavanagh in 2021. So that was already prior to that fight. Darn it. Well, the thing that I was hopeful about is, I mean, his chin looked pretty good though when he took that knee.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the, yeah, I mean, he can. I mean, I'm not saying he's gonna get knocked out by every shot, but I mean, dude's been knocked out a bunch, and I'm a Johnny Walker fan, man. I really like the way he fights. I love him on camera. Um, Unfortunately, you know, this guy, we're talking about a really, really tough Russian, man. This guy is, he has striking, he has power in his hands, he has power in his wrestling, he has power in his grappling. I just think he's too much man for Johnny Walker, man. And it's no, I'm not, I don't want to throw shade at Johnny. Again, I reiterate, he's a great fighter. And I'm not talking, you know, shit about him by any means. I just think the Russian has too much for him.
Well, it's all good. You're obviously in the same boat as the odds makers. Walker's a plus 400. That's
Yeah, I mean
insane.
that's exactly. I'm surprised he's that low. I thought it would have been like plus 500 at least. You know,
Wow.
I'm saying that he could win 1 out of 5. I mean, I just don't see where can Johnny Walker win this fight. I mean,
I mean,
is he gonna take Magomed down?
no, but he threw. But I mean, in that last fight, he threw some sneaky strikes. He was doing some interesting things. You remember he pretended as if he was hurt, and then he threw that. He throws like flying knees and crazy stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I mean, I think there could be a chance for a sneaky knockout. Plus, people have mentioned. I mean, you would know this better than me, but everybody says that in terms of athletic prowess, he's like a complete freak of nature. Yeah, I think John Kavanagh even said if you look at him physically as a specimen, he's just the most physically gifted or one of the most physically gifted athletes he's ever seen in his life. I mean, what do you think about that?
I don't know Johnny personally. I've never seen him train, so I can't say that's true or not true. I mean, if his coach is saying it, I'm sure it is. I mean, there's athletes in the gym, but remember, athleticism only goes so far. You know, one of the most athletic, powerful, strongest, fastest guys I've ever had the pleasure of working with is Greg Hardy. You know, he transitioned from a Cowboys defensive end. He's an all NFL player. We're talking about a very powerful human being. All right, his athleticism is like nobody I've ever seen before. He's faster. He runs a 4.40 at 260 pounds. That's fucking insane. But translating that athleticism to MMA didn't work out well. And, you know, Johnny Walker might be a great athlete. But again, I mean, athleticism only goes so far. And I'm sure he's a hard worker, you know. And again, I'm a Johnny Walker fan. And when I'm talking about him right now, I feel like I'm throwing shade at him. I like the guy a lot, man. It's,
Mhm.
again, it's just that Russian mentality to the goofy guy mentality. It just doesn't work out for us goofy guys, man. I think the Russian just has too much for him. And you know, yeah, of course he could throw something sneaky, but you know, at the end of the day, if all you have are a bag of tricks that you're hoping to work, like a flying knee, like a Jorge Masvidal, Ben Askren flying knee, I mean, that's a very low percentage, and the odds makers have it right, and they're showing that on their book.
All right, fair enough. So that's coming up tomorrow. I'm going to check that out. Can't wait. Let's move on to topic number 3, Leon Edwards versus Belal. It seems more and more likely that this is indeed, well, I guess this is what people are thinking or saying, that this is indeed going to be one of the fights on UFC 300. I don't think it's going to be the main event. I think most people agree with that. Maybe a co-main, maybe. I mean, I know they already announced another female championship fight, and I think there's going to be 3 title fights. It looks like on this card is what's being predicted. So maybe the co-main. Let's just talk about it. What do you think? I've been hearing Belal talking a lot of interviews saying he's gonna swarm him, he's gonna tire him out, he's gonna bully him in there. You know, reference back to what his coach said. What do you think about this fight?
Boring. Don't care. Next, like, I mean, Bilal is more than deserving for a title shot. More
Mhm.
than deserving. But I mean, if he's the main event, I'm turning it off after the co-main. You know, I'll walk away. This is the time where I'm getting up from my seat to go grab a beer. This is the time where I'm getting up from my seat to go grab food, to go mingle. Like this fight is not intriguing to me. And again, I'm not saying that Belal doesn't deserve it. He's a great fighter. He's beat a bunch of guys. He deserves the title shot. But to host, to headline or even co-headline UFC 300, we're talking about 300, man. It's just who's interested in this fight? Like who's interested in to watch the fight? Again, I'm not talking about who's deserving and who's not deserving, but who's
Right.
interested in watch the fight. I'd rather watch Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz than Leon Edwards versus Belal.
So I'm gonna look back at Bilal's. God, his record is crazy. How many wins he's had? Okay, decision. Okay, so I'm gonna look starting on 2017. So, and I think this is why he gets so much. He gets so much smack. Actually, let me share the screen here. We're gonna switch over. Okay, so let's take a look at this together. Let's start here. UFC 208 at this win. So we got decision, split, decision, unanimous. He lost, but that was a decision.
Who do you lose to? Who do you lose to?
Jeff Neal. And that was back in 2019, so it was a long time ago. And then decision. Okay, you got a submission here. Decision. That was the eye poke against Leon Edwards. Man, decision. Oh yeah, he did get a knockout against Sean Brady, and then decision. So let's put it like this, right? Because I've been thinking about it, and I listened to a lot of his interviews, Belal Muhammad, and he's just like not. People don't like him at all. Like you're saying, you're not excited about this fight. Nobody's excited about it. People kind of rip on him all the time. I wouldn't put myself in that camp. Like I definitely want to see this fight. I do think they're two of the best, and it's interesting to me from that perspective. And it's a rematch, and I want to see. And like I'm a fan of Leon Edwards. I'd love to see him win regardless. I think it'd be in a merit-based system. It's a great win. It's an amazing win. This guy's been undefeated for so long. What do you what is it about Belal that just turns people off, do you think? Because I think it's a combination of not just like it's not only the way he performs and wins. Because think about Kobe, right? Kobe wins in pretty uneventful fashion for the most part, but he still gets people excited because of smack talking. So Bilal's not like horrible on the mic, but what is it to you that turns you off so much?
Honestly, it's and again, I know it sounds like I'm talking shit about these guys, but I'm not, dude. I respect all the fighters, but
Yeah,
the
me too,
thing
man.
is, the thing is, you can't I can't relate to Bilal in anything. You know, it's like, all right, I saw him in the commentary booth, you know, doing an ESPN highlight, and I was like, all right, I'll tune in to see how this guy talks. And I just don't like the way he talks. I feel like he's always, yeah, I don't know. I just don't think he's good behind the mic. I don't think he knows how to trash talk. He doesn't know how to sell a fight. You know, he's a great fighter. He wins by boring, you know, decisions. He's won like 25 decisions, you know, out of all his wins. Like, you know, the thing with like guys like Conor McGregor, although I can't relate personally with Conor McGregor, Conor McGregor calls his shots. Hey, I'm gonna knock him out in the second round. Boom, he goes and knocks him out in the second round. Oh shit. Next one, oh, I'm gonna knock him on the third round. Boom, knocks him out in the third round. Okay, now I want to see what he's gonna say. What has Bilal done? What's Bilal? Well, you know what? I'm gonna take him to the fifth round. I'm gonna lay on him for 25 minutes, and I'm gonna grind out a decision. Who gives a fuck about that? You know, and if you ask him how's this fight going to go, well, I'm going to put a pace on him. I'm going to finish him. Motherfucker, you haven't finished anybody in 15 years. That has nothing. I just don't have any interest to it. I can't relate to him from a religious standpoint. I mean, being an atheist or agnostic, I can't relate to him in that standpoint. I can't relate to him on the mic. He doesn't sell fights. He's a boring. I mean, he's a great fighter, but he's just boring, man. And I mean, what about him makes me want to tune in? I believe he's Muslim.
Yep.
Yeah, if I was Muslim, sure, I'd get in their sport, but I'm not Muslim, so I can't relate there on a religious aspect. He's a boring fighter. There's nothing in 5 rounds is going to happen that it's like, oh my God, I can't believe that. It's going to be like, all right, he took him down. All right, he held him down for the first round. All right, that was cool. All right, he took him down the second round. All right, he pushed him up against the cage. All right, that like there's not going to be that emotional outburst when you see Daniel Cormier like, oh fuck, you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? That's just not going to happen. It's always going to be a mundane, slow. I mean, even if it's a high pace, like even if he gets on his back and starts punching him, like it's just I just can't relate to the guy. From on a personal level or a professional level. I wish him the best. If he becomes the champ, great. But there's a reason the UFC's held him out from the championship for so long is because they probably agree with me. Is nobody cares to see him fight.
Oh man, it's the truth. I think it's the truth. It's harsh and it sucks for him because I know he's worked for it. I don't know what to say, but I think you hit the nail on the head. Maybe he
He's just
turns.
not relatable. He's not personable. And to me, that's what gets me excited about a fighter, to watch them. I want them. I want to be. I want to see something that they've went through. Like, fuck, that guy went through a super hardship. I want this guy to win. And I'm not saying Bilal hasn't went through his hardships. I'm sure he has. I just can't relate to him.
Well, I'll tell you this, from one thing we can say, the odds are really close. It's minus 155 is Leon Edwards. Belal is only plus 125. So those odds are pretty close. Maybe that will make it more interesting. Maybe he'll pull something off and win in impressive fashion if this fight indeed does get booked. But okay, I think the fans share that exact sentiment, and you nailed it on the head. So with that, let's move on to our final topic, which is one of your teammates and Francis Ngannou's training camp, the status of, and I know you might not be training with him at the gym. I don't know where his training camp is even being held. I'll start us off with recounting an interview that I heard of Eric Nixick this morning, where he was talking on the Weighing In podcast. He was talking about the training camp, and so a couple of points that they made, and you talked about this earlier, saying how the one interesting thing last week, the one interesting thing about Francis is that his ceiling is still so high because he's not like a lifelong MMA trainer or a boxer or any of these. I mean, boxing, he's like basically still an amateur. So he's got so much room to grow. One of the things they said on the Weighing In podcast is when he fought Tyson Fury, he was probably like at his lowest point in terms of boxing prowess and skill. And so now he's coming in, arguably maybe doubling that skill set, or who knows if he's growing at an exponential speed where he's going to be at against Anthony Joshua, how much of his technique is going to change and what new tricks is going to have up his sleeve. On the flip side, now they have some tape to review, so it won't be so much of a surprise as to what he's going to do out there. But what do you see, or what have you heard, I guess, through the grapevine in terms of his training camp and what we can expect in this Anthony Joshua matchup?
I mean, you hit the nail on the head right there, dude. Like, this guy's potential is unlimited. He's not even halfway through his full potential as a striker, as a boxer, as an MMA fighter. With that, the last update, that I saw with Eric, they're all sitting down at the table. It's Francis, Eric, and Dewey Cooper. Dewey Cooper is an incredible striking coach. He's taught some of the best strikers in MMA. He's taught some of the best strikers in our gym, and he's one of Francis Ngannou's coach. And from the last of my understanding is they were all sitting down to decide who do they want to run this camp, and it's up to Francis and Dewey and Eric. Basically said, I want Dewey to run this camp, but ultimately it's up to Francis. And Dewey said, I can run the camp, or I know everybody in the game. So as of right now, from my understanding, is who they're going to have to run the camp. I don't know if it's clarified, if it's, I don't know if it's 100% sure of who's going to run it. But right now, I know the talk is, who does Francis want to run his camp? Eric Nixick's going to be a part of it. He's still his coach. Dewey Cooper is still his coach, but they want to bring in a more traditional boxing coach. Dewey Cooper's an incredible kickboxer. Eric Nixick's an incredible MMA coach. We're talking about coach of the year, but they need a straight boxing coach. And from my understanding, that's what they were trying to figure out.
What do you foresee in this matchup? We got Anthony Joshua, gold medal boxer. Again, I mean, neither of us really know boxing the way we know MMA. This is intriguing because it's one of our MMA guys, one of your teammates, Francis Ngannou, going in there. So that's what makes it very exciting. I will 100% be buying this fight. Remember, I didn't buy the Tyson fight, and I was so mad. I was so mad because when Tyson fought Francis when he had his first debut boxing match, I was just like, I was a bit disappointed back in the day when I bought the Conor Floyd Mayweather fight, and kind of like leading up to it, I was so hyped. Conor made us all believe, and I was like, all right, it wasn't really. I didn't think it was really that competitive. Conor did great relative to what a lot of the expectations were, but it was underwhelming in my opinion. I just didn't want to be disappointed that same way. And then when I heard I bought the fight actually, but it was like afterwards.
Yeah, sixth round or something. I remember. Yeah.
So mad about that. No, I bought it at the end. I bought it after I heard what happened. And then I didn't even jump in live. I watched it after the fact, but I watched the whole thing and it was really cool. Anyways, so now all of our expectations have changed, and we obviously see that Francis has a very, very good chance, regardless of what the pundits will say, the boxing pundits will say. What do you have any predictions? Do you have any thoughts in terms of the matchup?
I wish that I knew boxing a little bit better. I wish I knew Anthony Joshua a little bit better. I mean, what I do know is Francis Ngannou, it only takes one shot, man. And if Anthony Joshua is going to go in there and think that Francis isn't going to land one solid punch, I mean, he's sadly mistaken, man. Again, this guy's getting better every single day. He just went with the best boxer in the world, and a lot of people thought he won the fight. I mean, he dropped him in the third round. Like, dude, if he drops and we're talking about a guy that has chin for fucking days, man. I am a Tyson Fury fan. There's only 2 or 3 boxers besides Francis that I actually tune in for, and Tyson Fury is one of them. And when Deontay Wilder hit him with that overhand uppercut and flatlined him, and he came back as the Undertaker and ended up going and I think it was a draw that fight, then come back and beat him. I mean, holy shit, this guy has chin for days. For Francis Ngannou, when he hit him and dropped him, you watch, if you rewatch that drop, like Tyson's arms get tangled up under his body, which to me is a telltale sign that he was unconscious, whether it was for a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, his arms were tangled. The same thing with like Ben Askren when he gets knocked out, his arms stiffen. There's different forms of being knocked out. So people can say, oh, I know some people's like, oh, well, he just hit him and he stumbled. No, that motherfucker got knocked out for a second or two. And the referee gave him a really long time to recover, a lot more than 10 seconds. With that being said, does Anthony Joshua have the heart, have the determination, have the perseverance ability to withstand a big shot like that and get up?
Also, has Francis ever been wobbled? I don't think he has.
I don't think he's ever been hurt in a fight.
This is crazy.
I mean, think about that. We're talking about this gargantuan. This guy's the size of a fucking mountain, man.
Wait,
I think he's just gonna, man. Anthony Joshua can be slick, but does he have the heart like Tyson Fury? I doubt it.
it's like this. Hold on. Did you ever watch this show when you were a kid? It's like he's Juggernaut. Remember Juggernaut?
Oh yeah, of course. Hell yeah. Yes,
Like,
that's
that's
X-Men
crazy.
if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, it's X-Men, and he's basically invincible. Like once he puts that helmet on, it was like with
Helmet
a
on,
crystal or something, and he has magic, and then he puts a helmet on, and he's invincible. That's
Yes, sir.
insane. Like we've never, I'm gonna unshare Juggernaut, but like we've never seen him wobbled. That's bananas. And then you imagine too, he didn't get winded. He lasted the entire 10 rounds. He's gonna probably last the entire 10 rounds again. And like, is Anthony Joshua going to be able to hurt him when Tyson wasn't able to? I don't know. This is crazy. This is craziness.
So
what's going to happen? Yeah, go ahead.
Western Mass Climber says he has a hard time seeing Ngannou getting that hard, clean shot in. But with that being said, he did it to Tyson Fury, who's the best. I mean, how can you argue that? I mean, Tyson Fury is the champ. He's the best. He landed that shot on Tyson, who's known for being able to dodge punches, move his head and dodge. So what makes you think that he can't land that on Anthony Joshua?
Right. I think so too. I don't know. Oh, Norwego's back. Sup WMC.
There he is.
Oh,
Let's
he's saying
go.
what's up to Western Mass Climber. All right. I was like, what's
sir.
WMC? Yeah. Anyways, wow. I don't know. This is crazy. The more I think about it, it's crazier and crazier. What is this going to do if Francis Ngannou beats? Because I think there's a pretty good chance that he could come out victorious against Anthony Joshua. What is this going to do to the sport of boxing?
Dude, I mean, the sport of boxing is trash. I mean, I don't like boxing. I think it's all politics. There's so many crooked judges, and I'm just gonna go back to Adelaide Bird. Like, she needs to be fired. And anytime I get a chance to take a dig at her, I'm going to. I think she's trash, and I just think boxing is so political, and they have people that they want to win. It's like that's why it's dying. That's why it's a dying breed. People are transitioning to MMA, and I really hope the politics don't come into MMA like they have done in boxing over the years. And you got guys like Don King, and who screwed everybody back in the day with Mike Tyson. I'm just not a boxing fan. Like, I'll watch these crossover matches, and the only boxers that I want to watch are Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, and Francis Ngannou. Everybody else can just sit down. I don't really care for anybody else.
Only person I want to watch is Francis. That's it. If he's fighting, I'll be watching, and that's about all I'm gonna be checking out. So, and then it looks like if he wins, he's going back and he's fighting Tyson for a rematch. Bananas. He's gonna come out worth he's probably going to end up being worth over $100 million when this is all said and done. Or maybe, maybe 50 million. I don't know. It's so crazy, man. Good for him. This is exciting. 2024. Wow. This is 2023 was insane in terms of the UFC and in terms of combat sports. This might be even bigger. So I think it will be bigger. That's all we got. So anyways, thank you guys so much for joining. We appreciate you guys coming back and giving us another chance. Hopefully you like what you see, and please give us comments and feedback if you want to see other things or have specific topic suggestions. We'd love to hear them, and we'll do our best to put them in the mix next Monday. So we will be back again Monday, every Monday and Friday. You can count on us again. Last week, this Monday, I'm so sorry. I got super sick, had an emergency, and it actually coincided. Justin had something come up too, so it actually ended up worked out. Neither of us could do it, but in general, you can always count on us. We will be here every Monday and Friday. Thank you guys so much for joining. Have an amazing weekend. Thank you, Noro Ego. Sorry, Western Mass Climber, you're the man. Let's go Detroit Lions. We're both from Detroit. We're both Michigan guys.
Let's
so
go.
that's exciting too. And University of Michigan won. We didn't even talk about it, but
National champions.
Yeah, my alma mater. They're national champs. So that's pretty cool. All right, guys, we are signing off, and we'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.
See you guys.